Gormaga Ceann Comhairle, and look, from the outset, I think what transpired over the last number of weeks has been deeply disturbing. It's done enormous damage to the reputation of our national broadcaster. I don't think it's very often that I'd agree with some of the points made by Deputy Boyd Barrett, but he's correct in a lot of what he's said about the outstanding questions, things that still need to be answered, and also about the importance of having a national broadcaster that's in some way, in every way, as a matter of fact, apologies, may I correct myself, impartial when it comes to political views being broadcast. And that is what's so special about the product that RTE have offered through the Current Affairs Department, is that every voice here should get a representation, and whether it's the left, the centre or the right, that there is a mechanism for those views to be broadcast in a democratic way. And I want to avoid at all costs, and it's a point that Deputy Boyd Barrett made, where we have these conglomerates going in, purchasing up every media outlet. It has happened in the private sector, and that's why it's important that we would protect RTE as an entity, because it's for everybody's benefit that's in some way stable in their political view. And I'm somebody that regards myself as an individual of the centre. I don't look down upon those that have different political views to me, but in an open democracy where there's freedom of speech, it's important that we would have a system in place that everybody's views are heard, and that is absolutely important. The damage that was done by the Executive Board of RTE's decision-making, indeed in cahoots, I would say, with the likes of Noel Kelly and others that were involved in negotiating these very lucrative contracts, has been absolutely despicable. And I have to say that I actually found last week's proceedings in the Public Accounts Committee, if I was to use one word coming out of it, it was not anger, it was upsetting. To see careers being destroyed by the contents of that meeting, seeing some of our most well-known broadcasters in the States' reputations unfortunately being tarnished. And it was not pleasant. And the sad truth is that there was a lot more to come. I've had a number of people approaching me. I'm not going to go into it here, and now I don't think it's appropriate, Ceann Comhairle, but coming to me with information that would just make your jaw drop. And above all else, the disrespect that was shown to the government of this country and to you as a minister in relation to the lack of timing, or should I say the gap in timing between a decision to sack the Director General of RTE and not inform the minister. That to me is absolute beggar's belief. And I see it here, and I've often commented on it, Ceann Comhairle, about the disrespect that's been shown by certain civil servants and within certain elements of the state, whether it's through semi-state bodies or in other organisations, and the utter disregard they have for the people that are elected here. Because I know people in Ireland are not always content with what their politicians say and do, but we are ultimately accountable to them, and we are their representatives in these types of situations. And those that decided not to attend the Oireachtas committees should be ashamed of themselves. And each person's entitled to their own view. And I'm not referring to Dee Forbes there. I wish her well in terms of her recovery. And I hope she'll be in a position to come before the Public Accounts Committee and also the Media Committee. But it has to be done. I also want to refer to the situation around, potential external government auditors being approved and worked on by Cabinet. I want to say that I think it would be highly damaging if that was used as an instrument to close down the debate. The committees of this House, and of the other House as well, have work to do in terms of getting to the bottom of the outstanding questions. And I actually think it's in the best interest of RTE to get to a point of zero and rebuilding from there, rather than allowing a review process to come in and shut it down. We saw that last week with the Turf Club. There was this big bubble put out there. Nobody has a notion what's going on within there. And effectively, we're left, pie in the sky, able to assume anything we bloody want, no matter how dire the situation is. We have no idea what's going on. And we can't allow that happen with RTE, because of the entity that it is, from a reputational point of view, from the standard it needs to set. And that has to be said. The other thing as well, and I want to refer to it, I think it's important, what came out as regards the expenses within that organisation, they were sickening. €275,000 spent on junkets. Can anyone imagine what would happen if we did that here? The place would be burnt down, and they could get away with it. And it came down to this. It was about an attitude, an entitlement, that the senior executives within RTE could do whatever they want, because it wasn't their money. But whose money it was the public. It was public money that was squandered on junkets. There is no justification for sending the commercial director, and we don't know who else was with them yet, but we will find out, all the way to Japan to watch the rugby match. Over 17,000 euros per person was spent on that. If anyone did that here, we'd be lynched, and rightly so. Now, I mean that metaphorically, Count Corley, I want to be clear there. But that, to me, was just the bottom of the barrel. And I'm not even going to go into the rest of it with the RFU and so on and so forth, but like if it was the Irish Development Agency and they were working on bringing in, international companies and other agencies that were involved in FDI, or, where there was actual justification for the usage of that money for that type of work, fair enough. But RT didn't have anything. And this whole nonsense about client entertainment. Like, the platform that is RTE is so because the people who want to engage with it, and the advertisers, as a matter of fact, should have been coming to the RTE executive board, not the other way around. I don't buy that. There is no basis to that argument. And I think that has to be put across as well. Because there was no barter account. If anything, it was a banter account, used for fun and entertainment on the public's purse. And ultimately, that is wrong. And the disrespect that was shown to the staff within the organisation, the full-time employees within RT, is staggering. Mr. Short's presentation to the committee was very telling, to the Public Accounts Committee, about how little awareness there was of this. I described it as a Celtic Tiger-esque style culture, a Las Vegas style culture that a certain privileged few enjoyed within the organisation of RT. And it has to be called out about how little they thought of their own people. And I also have to say that I thought an awful lot of the presenters, despite their very high earnings. I'm not knocking them. They're talented people. They have a job to do, in the organisation. And look, this is my own personal opinion of viewing it. I'm not trying to force it on anyone. But the ones that did come forward to clarify, what their pay was, I think that was initially quite a clever and brave move when it comes to the trustability of the organisation, and that has to be commended as well. But when it comes to the previous Chief Financial Officer, those that were involved in the commercial deals in the past, all of them are better off, in the interest of RTE, the employees within the organisation, to come before the Media Committee and the Public Accounts Committee and answer the questions now, or we can drag this out to be potentially something that rolls on for multiple years and cause huge pain. And the point was made in relation, I think it was Deputy Barry raised it in relation to the TV licence. The amount of people who have approached me saying they have no intention of paying that is hugely concerning. And ultimately, who will have to fill in the gap is the Exchequer, which ultimately goes back to the public again. And that's the sad truth of what these people, these gangsters, have caused by their actions. And it's just, I was sickened coming out of that committee meeting the other day. It was way worse than anything I anticipated having to listen to. And the anger at a grassroots level, and I mean a grassroots level, I mean the researchers, the runners, everybody involved in RT. I was even stopped by a number of cameramen during the week in Cork and Dublin who just pulled me aside. We're out in the beat, and the stories and the dismay and the disappointment they were sharing with me. I was having dinner with my family in Dublin last week. They were up, and to be pulled aside in a restaurant by family members, or by my family members who had family working in RT, and their worry about the future of the organisation. And this all comes back to the greed at the centre, ultimately. And I think that has to be put across as well. And the last thing is, I don't often share it, but I have a big interest in the arts, and I love music. I play music myself, and I've had a lifelong interest in it. But I would just put this message across to RT and to the government, is that selling the silverware in RT, whether it's selling off 2FM or selling off Lyric FM, which I understand is profitable, or these are in the media, Minister, I just want to put that across. I would beg the government not to rush down a road of going down that particular road, because there are entities within RT where there are fantastic people working there, and they do deserve the support of the House, of the government, when it comes to promoting arts. Is often a slogan and phrase that RT use, and they can't be the ones to suffer as a consequence of all of this wrongdoing. So in summary, I don't want to go on too long. My points is that as an organisation, the more information that comes out now, the more transparency there is in relation to what has happened, and the quicker that comes out to the public, the faster the process of rebuilding the trust with the public in this country will happen. And as I said, in relation to any independent auditors or whatever steps government may take, I would caution you in that regard. I think whether it's through compellability or through instruments available to the committees, that is the route that must be pursued. And in doing so, it's in the public interest. All we're trying to do is identify what the public want to know. And we're not guilty in any regard for that. And that's all I have to say for all that.